Welcome fellow folders to a brand new video and a tutorial this time. It's been quite a while since I've last done a tutorial, and it is on, of course, the Aged Dragon, the no scale version, so I'll explain that in a few minutes. Now this video is made possible by Raptor, who is the one that redrew, who made this crease pattern and of course redrew the complete crease pattern as well. I have asked him. He does have a Google link drive with everything in that link, in that drive for you to make it, so I'm just waiting on a response to see if I'm allowed to include that link in the description. So hopefully I'm allowed. I'll check back in a minute after this video, but make sure that you pause this video in a few settings, you go to the link in the description where Raptor's profile will be linked at the very top. Make sure you click on that link to his Instagram page and give him a follow, support him. He took the time with a few others to completely redraw the crease pattern. I'll show you in a second on the tablet. He made it possible to follow other than Kei's one, which is it's not coloured, it's blurry. So make sure to follow him, support him. He did all the work to make it possible. So if you're already wondering, this isn't the full crease pattern, it's not even a square, which you are correct. We will jump to this. Now here is the full crease pattern, and we have the general layout. You're probably wondering why these creases aren't 45 degrees, they're all different angles. Well, they're the same angles, but not as you would expect. So the reason they are like this and not like this is simply because of all the pleats. And when you pleat all of these pleats all the way down, you will end up with this. And that's basically the reason why this version is this, but without any of these pleats. So if you were to collapse all of these pleats, you would have this. So for example, we have one normal 45 degree crease, and then a blue one, and then a blue, and then a red. And here we have the normal one, the first blue, the next blue, and then the red. So these pleats make the angle of the crease a weird angle, so it's only confusing if you think that way, as the reason why these pleats make it look like those. So I'll show you on the tablet. This is on ORIGAMI from the Android device. It only works on Android, I think. Not too sure why, but we're there. So the full crease pattern, very cool. Zoom in, flip it about. Okay, we can't turn it, but let me add the grid. The grid is at 96. And then it's halved again for the pleats. No, it's halved, then halved again, but this can't go up any further than 256, so 96. And there, you can see that, just as example, this is 1/4 of 96, so I would take this blue line, I would fold it here, and then take that new line and fold it here to make this crease. So essentially the crease pattern is 48 going horizontally, and then was it 386, 384, can't remember, going up top if you decide to make the full grid. But the top part of the crease pattern is your normal 96. Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, because the pleats are double the width. So let me just half this again to 48. You can see that each width of the pleat going horizontally is 48. So your grid is technically a 48 by, wait there, I need a calculator, 1 second. Yeah, 384. So if you wanted to make the full grid, it would be a 48 by 384, which is quite a weird grid. Very weird for such a model. but as you can see, there's a lot happening. Oh, died the power. Trapped. Anyway, hopefully, if Raptor says yes, everything will be in the description, and then you can download it and use it to help collapse, etc. But for the tutorial, we have this crease pattern in. In order to make this, which is a 44 by 28, we first of all need to make a 44 grid. And how you do that is, you divide into thirds, then half that again, and then half that again. So you go from 3, 6, and then 12. And then from there we cut off one unit at either side, and then top or bottom, so we then have an 11 by 11, and then we simply half twice again. So from 11 we divide again into 22, and then 22 again into 44. So that way we already have 44 here, but we have 44 this way as well. So we need to count from the bottom 28 up, and then whatever's left at the top you just cut off, and then you'll have this, which you will just then use this to pre-crease onto. So hopefully that is straightforward enough. And again, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments and DM me wherever. So I think most of you should be fairly, this should be fairly straightforward. For collapsing wise, I will try my best to figure out a good way to show it, and then we'll basically just go from there. I mean, first of all I need to get some pegs just to peg these. Now we can start collapsing. So I think we'll just start making the pleats horizontally near enough all the way down, and then we can start collapsing these parts. Again, this is something that's very satisfying to do, is having all the colours on the paper already coloured in. So it's a very relaxing feeling when you collapse something like this. I'm just going to start making these pleats all the way down. Maybe like halfway, try halfway and then see how that goes. So essentially, when you collapse all the pleats for the scales and on the sides, this is the crease pattern for the dragon. Near enough, this is identical. So in all aspects, it's really not that difficult to make. It's just, it looks very complex because of all the pleats, and it seems to be a time-consuming model to make. But it's essentially just what we're doing right here. Now I don't know how accurate it is to the actual one, because Raptor drew it. I'm pretty sure it looks identical. I did count everything beforehand, and all the diagonals are the same amount. So I think I'll just do the collapse in this video, and then I'll take a few days to try and see how to go about shaping it, and then I can do a quick video on that as well. So let me see. Yeah, a few more, because we've got this piece up as well. And of course you can collapse it any way you want, or you can follow me. I'm just giving that a general, neutral way of doing it. Yeah, so we'll go with that. So we have this. So now, if you collapse the same amount as me, just do the same amount on this side. Now we have it pleated on both sides. I think it's easier if we just pleat the entire thing, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. It seems easier this way, so I would have to make these pleats as I collapse the sides. So you can go ahead and pleat the rest of the sides completely. No crease intended. Hard to see the actual creases. really curious to see what the base is like, what sort of potential it has, what sort of shaping can be achieved from it. I'm looking forward to seeing this. It's going to be quite cool seeing the satisfying video of it all coming together in a few minutes when I do the reverse video as well. It's like tradition now. So let's bring this back together. Like so. You should have this. So it's simply just pleating together all the sides. And then I think we'll start off with the bottom. So let's peg it just in the middle. Right, just above the red line is good enough. I can always adjust it if I need to. So we're going to open up the right hand side and then just box pleat as much as we can up to the pegs, and then I might need to, in fact I'm going to move the pegs up to here. I think that'll be better. And that way I should be able to box pleat all the way up. So again, simply using the crease pattern, following the box pleats all the way up. We're just going to be making the mountain folds, the valley folds. We already have the creases coming down the way, so we just need to make the ones going across. And I find it easier to do it upside down. Of course you can do it whichever way you want. I'm actually quite hungry as well. I should have eaten first before this, but I'm going to wait until this is done. What's going to be hard is for doing the actual one with all the pleats in place. You're going to have lots of pleats going this way, so it's going to be harder to try and keep them all in position. Make sure they all stay in place as you do this, because this is straightforward as is. We don't have anything distracting us, but in the real thing you're going to have all these extra layers going left, right and centre. How do we control them all? That is the question. So we're just going to again extend it all the way down to I believe here. Yeah, so again, follow the crease pattern. I'll go as slow as I can. Just simply making all the creases. Now I don't know if I should shape the scales. I originally thought, I was talking to my friend Michael, I was saying to him I might plan to shape the scales all differently. I will shape them, but instead of pulling the exact same amount of paper through for each one, I will pull out some scales that have the perfect amount of paper pulled through, and some that have not enough, and some that have way too much, so they all look entirely different from one another. So we have collapsed this part. I believe we are almost, just make something a wee bit more. Okay, so here we are, the edge of this one. Near enough, leave it like this. I'll leave it like this for now. Even though it's not correct, it's a good little, what you could call a checkpoint before we continue on. So let me get it nice and flat first, and then I'll show you what I did. this one to show you. So this is what we have done on the right hand side. And now just repeat everything that we have done, exact same creases on the left hand side, so it's both symmetrical. Now we have done it on both sides. What we can do now, which I think is the next best thing to do, is if we turn the paper, but we'll look at it from this side, if we just simply mount and fold and valley fold, box pleating all these creases all the way down to here. So we're not going to try and collapse these in now, we're just going to mount and fold, valley fold, simple box pleat all the way down. Then this will help us set up to collapse little middle parts, and then at the very end we should just need to undo these to collapse these little squares. This way. I'm always flipping the paper around to try and find the best angle when doing this. I think it's easier if I just jump to the next mount fold. Once we do this, we're going to recollapse these vertical creases and then put it back as to how it was before we undone these plates. Now I think this is the way I will actually collapse it on mine. And you can do it anywhere you want. It seems a very straightforward model to collapse. You just need to decide which way you want to go about doing it. And the final one, which I forgot to finish with this one before we can do the final one. Now we can. And then we'll just make this valley fold over to the other side first. Like that. Okay, so we have collapsed all these mountain and valley folds all the way down, and then we're just going to recollapse like this, just so it's again nice and flat and easier to use. And then just repeat it on this side. And now we are back in this position where we originally started from. We just unfolded this, pleated these parts, and then brought it back together. So now we are just going to start putting in these pleats. I think we'll start from the top and then work our way in. and then it's just repeating on the other side. So if you open up, I guess we'll start with this one and then just make mountain folds. I'm just going to sink this corner in. And then make this mountain fold. And then we can collapse this one, but we'll come to that in a second. If we open up the edge, and then just simply box pleat this part. Yeah, and we'll keep these parts up. So we're not going to tuck them in, we'll keep them up. And I mean tuck them in as fold them like that. So for now we will keep them out. So we're just going to go ahead with this. Now you would probably tuck them in if you hadn't pre-creased the little spikes, the little cubes, but in this case I have, so I've saved myself a bit of work. But let me peg this side first, so it's not opening up. There. Okay, so next we are going to, we can collapse this down. I'm going to form the 4 mountain folds on this little cube and then bring it 90 degrees to the sides. And push in little sides. So, should I collapse this bit now? Yes. So we'll bring that bit forward. And then we'll just fold it down for now on the valley fold. And then it's the same process on this bigger cube. We just need to try and form a few of the outside creases first. So we need to form these parts and then these parts. So on all sides. Again, I will show the collapsed part after collapsing in case you couldn't follow this, but this part forward, nicely together. I'll just squish this little part, make it flat there. And I don't think I can fully flatten it just yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue the rest of these creases. I can open up this now. And we're just going to continue making these mountain and valley folds. There's a few more just inside that we need to collapse. So we just open up the paper and then adjust the pleats. Yeah, we can keep that one in place. And create a new edge. I'm going to swap this one for this one. And then that's given us doing that process has given us the extra room to collapse this little part. So from here we just fold forward and then fold over, whilst keeping these parts up. Bring this up to the centre. And there we go, we have collapsed the right hand side. Oh wait, I've got this part. There we go, it's back in place. So we have collapsed the right hand side. Let me touch up off camera and then I will show you it in all. So this is the side that we have just collapsed. Quite tricky to show this part. It's the exact same on here. So now you go ahead and do the exact same on the left hand side. And here we have both sides now collapsed. And the final thing that we need to do to finish this is just unsync this paper from these little parts here. We've got 6 in total. I will show you one and then you just repeat the entire process for the rest of them. 7 as well, the middle one. First, I'll do the one on the outside as it has 2 big ones, so it'll be easier to show. I should have brought tweezers, but you're simply going to undo these pleats. Like that. So that is maybe easier just to grab it and pull them all out. So we're going to undo these pleats and then we are just going to change the creases, so instead of having the mountain folds going all the way, we're just going to box pleat it, and where it hits the mountain folds, again change the direction of the creases. Then that will allow us to untuck these hidden layers. One. And then it's the same here. And then once we do this, we bring it all back together and then you do the exact same on the other ones. Now I'm not going to show all of them, only this one, because the rest are half the size, so it makes it a bit more difficult. That, then just make sure that you have parts on the inside, these little sides collapsed as well. And then when you're comfortable that you have them, just again bring the paper 90 degrees all the way down and then just push in. And then fold back down and then fold over to reposition it back to the way it was. So now we went from having all these layers tucked in to having all these layers unstuck. So you just repeat the process 6 more times. So here, which is the same as this one, and then on these two, and then these two, and then the one at the top center, which is this one here. So you've got 6, just do that 6 more times, and then we have the finished, fully collapsed base of the aged dragon. So go ahead and do that. And now we have the finished base. Oh, these last 2 parts we just sink in. Forgot about those. And this side. And now we have the finished base of the aged dragon. Now I'm not going to do a tutorial on shaping this because it's way too small and I'm not really too sure at the moment which part is which. I would need to go about figuring that out and such, but here we have the whole thing collapsed. Comes in around a little bit first. So we have these little squares there, all collapsed on this side. So you should have them all collapsed on both sides. And yeah, that is it. That is it for the collapse tutorial. Shaping wise, I think it's best once I figure out how to do it. I believe Raptor is also making a photo diagram of the head. I'll ask him to double check to make sure if he is, but I will leave the shaping tutorial until I actually have the full thing of mine collapsed. That way I will have a better understanding of how it all works, because again we have a lot more extra pleats and scales that will maybe help identify which part is which, and it should be easier to go from there. So at the moment you're getting the full collapse, and again this is the end of it. And yeah, that is it. Thank you all for watching. If you did collapse it, make sure to again follow Raptor on Instagram. Try and shape it as you want. People can do it as possible. I don't know at the moment, I've not practiced it yet, but I will figure it out, because this is the best part to figure out. And yeah, that is it everyone. I will see you all in the next video.